Shalom, friends, and welcome to the community better from Guatemala City. A greeting to our friends in Mexico, Guatemala. They are looking also to us in Nicaragua, El Salvador, Colombia, Costa Rica, Argentina. We are in the Parasha Emor. Translating into English, hi. Our Parasha talks about dispositions from the Aaron sons because they were the principles. There is just one principle that is doing the job in the people of Israel because they do the job to communicate with the God. Also, it's talking about the physical effects. Okay. It's talking about all the characteristics that these people has to have, like they cannot have like a lot of eyebrows to do that job. There are two things that we need to learn first. This person has all the fault of all the people of Israel. That's why he has to have a kind of perfection. Also, this was just temporary. Those laws were to be with something that was not temporary. This is also about the Mashiach as the principle of the people of Israel. He is the one that is with all the fault, not just for the people of Israel, it's just all the world. The humanity is able to have like like Eliyahu, he was not able to meet the death. It was more, or it was beyond the voluntary that he has. The Yasser Hara. That's why this is about Mashiach. That's why every time that we talk about this, we go deep and deep and deeper. And we have more, and we found more sense to the words that was spoken by Johanan. Because this is about a person, is a man that doesn't have a Yasser Hara. He doesn't have any defect that makes him able to be the principle of Israel and stay with all the fault of the people of Israel. For the other side, this is about all of us that we have that impossibility to have a relation with God by our bad things that we have. Nobody is able to find the Lord unless he is revelated first. Because this creation was done by God being hidden, so we can have we have a need to find him and look for him. That's why we have an impossibility in our naturally. Also, it talks about that what you have doesn't have to be defective to Lord. The best is for Lord. Remember, The Israelite was telling that because they have to give the 10% of everything that they have to Lord, and this 10% was supposed to be the best. So the people of Israel were not able to give like the animals that they were defective. If you feel bad about that, you were able to replace them for another ones. So it's based on the principle to give the best to the Lord. Also, it talks about the feast that we have in Vayikra 23. It talks about all the days that we have to apart for Lord. I remember that one time we talked about Rosh Chodesh and these movements that we found in the Judaism. Just do what they do. The first step to learn is to learn by doing the same thing, because we have to have a reference. In the Judaism, it's very focused in the Rosh Chodesh. They have like in a time, Rosh Chodesh, it was more important than Shabbat itself. But in our Parasha, 3 times, beginning in the chapter number 3, those are the feasts that we have to apart for Lord in the days that are given. And in those feasts, Rosh Chodesh is not there. The question is, every person conscience should ask, does Lord want me to do as a feast of Rosh Chodesh when Rosh Chodesh is not in the list? Do I make of Rosh Chodesh like a very special day when the Torah doesn't say that? Come to me the words from Maimonides in a recap of Mishnah. He said that it's like we want to have more laws, more than the Torah has already given to us. That's all what we have to do. Rosh Chodesh, we have to do the count of Emor. We just have to be conscious about that day, but it's not like a feast, like Shabbat or the other that are in the chapter of Leviticus 23. But we have 2 texts that talks about us of Rosh Chodesh, but just for another people. So do not bring more importance to something that the Torah doesn't. That's what we need to remember. It talks about when the menorah was lighted, the bread of preposition, and also about other laws that are in this parasha about what to do and what not to. Now, I want to see the parasha from another point of view. I realized in this parasha how through different dispositions the Lord give us a message indirectly or behind just the letter. We can start with information. The Neshama has the same nature as the creation. That's why we want to give. And it was formed with the ability to receive. To receive what is coming from the former. The beginning. The Hebrew beginning is that the Lord has created everything from nothing. So from nothing, it has made the receiver. Then to fulfill it. That's why the human has the ability to receive what his creator or former wants to put into it. We have talked about this a lot of times before, about the Mashiach, that he has already gave everything to us, but we don't have the ability to receive all of that. I purchased a bottle of Coca-Cola, but you just have a bottle of 3 ounces, and I would like to give you the liter, but you have to keep just putting the glass and glass and glass. So we have learned that the problem of the human is to not be able to receive what the Lord has already given us, and that's how what we have to work in our spiritual. That's why this receiver is subjected to the space and time. The former doesn't. So that wants to let us know that the work or the job of reception is attached to the space and time, to a place and time, to that. Rabbi Zuckerberg says that the time as the universe, they are not uniform. They are not plain. They are not. There are zones that are more intensive than others. The feast give us a direction and form to the time. The feast, they are spaces in the time that are able to put together the emotional and mental to the Hebrew people with their origin and objective and the goal to establish in our parasha the feast, that this is the important. You don't have to do any work on it. In some way, is given a value, a qualitative value to that day. That's why in the Hebrew thinking, we have like the week, like a triangle. What is at the top is the Shabbat. So how the week goes depends on the Shabbat. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then again. That's why when we start to do the Shabbat, and when we do with the correct spirit, our life starts to be ordered and our priorities start to change, because we are able to enter to another dimension of time that the keeping or to observing the Shabbat gave us. Those spaces and the time are able to put together the material part, emotional and intellectual in the people with the former, with the origin. That at the same time is our goal, to be or to return to Him. They are dates with the Creator. They are like doors to go through with the Creator. That's why the date cannot be changed. That's why we have to be disciplined on the dates. The days that we don't have to work, they are points to access in the time that connect us with the origin, again, to the Lord, to the former. The Lord, before to form everything, He was. They were just in nothing. There were no space to do anything. He was contracting himself, and that's how the creation was formed. 6 days he kept creating. What happened in the seventh day? He returns to the primary state. So in the seventh day, he is in a state of nothing, and that's the state that he has before, or before he creates everything. That's why when we keep, or when we stay on the Shabbat with the correct heart, with the correct conscience, and in that sense, we are like in the seventh day. So the Shabbat and the feast, they are, the Shabbat is Shabbat. To that point that someone that breaks the rules, he has to be dead. It's pretty important. So the time becomes to a space to think about the goals on all the challenges that we could have. So like the people that goes to their 40s, let's suppose that I'm 40, that the time has passed and we even hasn't noticed about that. But when we enter to this rhythm that the Lord has given to this time, we go to a system to reflect that make us increase and rise and growth, so we can be from the selfish thing to the altruism. And this is important because without having the Shabbat, I have the rules very clear of what I have to do and what we don't have to do. He told us that on Yeshayahu about the Shabbat and all the specifications that we have to have in that day. So this is my reflection. If I understand what is a day to be just, or a day with the Lord, and the Torah is given to that Shavuot a value and a standard, qualitative, because is when we goes with the Lord. And as far as I have studied the difference between the Shabbat and the day that we do not do any work, like in the feast, I can do fire, I can buy food to eat that day, but the rest is just a day that we don't have to do what we do in the rest of the days. So based in the sense, answer yourself if this June 16 do you think will be valid? That is a date with your creator to go and attend to do the vote, because here in Guatemala it's about the government. Me and my family, we are not going because we have understood how special is that date, and I'm not able to go to another things that are not nothing with the Lord. So if we are clear all in the time, also with the space, because they are the two coordinators that are working, or how the space, this universe is based on the space and time. The space has more intensive things, and we have to recognize them so we can get a relation with them in a correct way. We're not doing, and the Lord is teaching us that in the Torah. For example, the space where is a person that is already dead. The Torah says that if someone enters to the place that that person is there, that person becomes in a state that is not pure. The death, it's part, is part of life. But we have to learn to get related with them, with that death in a correct way. If you can see in the Torah, also there is a place that is, there are places that deserve respect more than others one. As the time is not plain and it has different values, the space too. What does the Torah says should I have to do with that third gender person? I have to stand up. So we have to, when this kind of situation happens, these have to give me a kind of conscience, and I have to conduct myself with respect. In the land of Israel is a place that the Lord has already a part, and I should have a conscience about that part, about the land, into the halacha, creating those principles. A son shouldn't enter to the room of his parents as a dog in his house, because it's the room of his parents. Why we put mezuzahs in our house, in our doors? Because he's teaching us to delimit a space that is ours. And remember that we don't have to go over that with something that is not pure. The Torah help us and give us instructions to recognize limits, to recognize places with differences, with qualitative differences, and with this knowledge of those different spaces and time, the man is going to be able to be free from the mechanism of the time. We, in the past, they had those rules of the spaces. That's why for us, we are not able to delimit this part, as we have told before. In the afternoon, Jeremiahus put chairs, because in a way this space has a difference, because here is the Torah, here is the Aron Kodesh. This is how it's called, where the Torah is his place. We are forming men that to recognize the differences from the spaces of the values and the principles and values. Our parents, someone that remember a rule that a parent give us when we go to another place, to another family, for example. A rule. Ask for permission to enter because it's not in my house. In those times, we had delimited the spaces. Maybe in my house, I don't pick up the plates on my house, but if I'm in another house, I have to. There are norms and rules because we have to recognize the difference between a space and another one. But today, the lack of principles and value, the people they are not able to see the difference between the space and time. It doesn't matter if it's an adult there inside that room. It doesn't matter if If in a bus goes to an adult person, I keep getting it. It doesn't exist anymore. That the Torah is showing us now that we should have. It's not just for that. That's why also our clothes are different in Shabbat because the day for that. But we have to recognize that this place is a synagogue, that the community has a part to be with the Lord. That's why there are rules about the clothes when we go inside. Yeah, someone that comes from another place is just thinking about that what it matters is the heart, but we have to learn to reveal what is in our heart, respect, to know that there are different things that deserve more honor than other ones. In the house, in our parents' room, everything is different, and it's difficult to convince. Maybe. What about if your sons do a meeting, but their friends eat pork? Are they going to eat pork in your house? Because we have to learn, or we start to learn the difference from the rules in house. I have taught you to our kids that they have to learn how to wear, what kind of wear of clothes they have to use, and also to comport themselves in the different places that they are. But we have to, and this is the most important things, not just the space and time. Also, the Torah is teaching us that in the relations there also exist these kind of differences that needs to be recognized, so we can avoid as the time and the space to be victims, psychologists, from a disorder of the lack of the distinction of those levels of relations. That there are some that are more intensive than other ones. That that thought that we were given in the Christendom is that all of us are son of lords. That is a lie. How the T-shirt says, of the 100 problems you have, 10 of them are because you are a fool, and the other 90 are for because you go to a place that you were not called. But that is the reality, and I'm going to show you now. For example, the principle of the people of Israel that was doing the job of that, he was not able to be with something that was not pure, not even for his parents. Do you remember when this Aaron were able to see how the Lord consumed his sons by the strange fire that they offered? Can you imagine that? To see how your two sons were dead by a fire that was sent by the Lord, and he was just in silence. But they were his sons. I'm sorry, but the Lord is teaching us to make a difference in the relations. That's why Su Majestad Yeshua, he was not able, he couldn't be like us. He can't be on pain for an animal like us. He is in another level of our house. They were just able to do it in the family, or to be in a relation with the death just by their sons and brothers. But I'm not sure if you will be able to see that if a sister or a daughter is married, he was not able to get impure by that person, is the Lord, the the daughter always has a head. First his father, and then if she gets married with her husband, he has another laws legal. The principle of Israel was not able to be impure because of her. In the last parasha, we were able to see a daughter from the principle of Israel was not able to eat from the things that the people of Israel was given to Lord. And you can think, yeah, she was his daughter, but she is married now with another one. She has another head. She is in another place, so it's not on my business now. And that's what we have to learn. We are on pain for someone that we don't even met. We don't even know. You can see on Facebook a meme of a son of a kid that is dying in Africa, and you can be crying all the day. And you don't even know that if that is real or no, but you are already in pain. We have a chip or a thing that we are looking for something to be on pain and cry for. It looks like we are looking for excuses to throw away the happiness that the Lord has already given us. The Torah made a distinction or a difference from a person that is Israelite and no. Alright? There is a difference. To the Israelite, I have to borrow some money without the interest. There is exception in people, yeah. That's what the Torah says. But we don't. We don't do that difference. What Master Yeshua said when his mom and his brothers were there, he said, my mom and my brothers are the one that do what the Lord says. We have to be clear on the relations that we have, so we can avoid to be suffering or be on pain for something that is not even in our business. The Torah makes a difference from the one that is free and the one that is not free. What happened with the one that was hurt by his owner and he died 2 days later? And we could think that that is mean, but actually no, because he was his owner, and we are unable to see that, to make that difference of the thing that we have, the thought that we have that all of us are son of Lord, and we are even looking at the animals as persons when they are not. What happened with the man that was a slave from an Israelite, but standing in that house of his sir, he took a wife, and he was given with kids, but at the time to be free, his wife and his sons were not from him, were from his sir. What could the human society says now? What if this man wanted to be with his wife and his kids? He had to go with the Sanhedrin, and they have to do a ring in his ear that he decided to be a slave voluntary. Why then is it too difficult for us to accept that someone has decided to live the animal life that they are living, and we cannot be like pushing them or keep them or to try to convince them when they are already with the ring in his ear? Why is it too difficult for us to accept that when someone doesn't want to do what we do? The Torah teaches us to recognize when someone doesn't want to be free, but you are there. No, but you have to you have to understand them is both. No, the Lord doesn't give him the intelligence that they need to accept this. You are not the Messiah to set all the people free. You have to understand that. They don't want to. And that difference, for example, the Lord in the Torah give us a difference from the not born and the one that was born. Do you remember when they heard the pregnant woman that was there? If she lose the baby, they will have to give a recompense. But if the mom is dead, he has to be treated like a killer because it was mortality. They are just principles of the one that was born and the one that wasn't born. I'm not in favor to kill the kids and what. Don't take those values and principles in our relations that the Torah has given us. We will live on pain, on suffering. The Lord has already given us the Torah, the Mashiach, everything that we need to be happy, but it looks like we were born to be on pain and suffering. And we have to be humble. I have done it before. There are people that were in this community when I said, okay, I'm humble and I accept that I'm not Lord, and I said, I'm sorry, I cannot continue to help you. It's just you and the Lord. I'm not God. As a friend said before, or used to say, the same friend that taught me that the Lord doesn't have full sons, he also taught me, and he told me, Javier, when the Lord says this is not a prison that when the Lord says something, we are not able to change it. And we have to be able to recognize the position that to all people has inside this society. We are not able to change that. We have to recognize when we just can't do anything. But when we don't recognize that, we keep pushing and keep trying to convince someone when the Lord has already said that that person is not going to. Do you think that the Lord is suffering for us? Like, oh, my kids. No. Everything that he does is just for himself. We have to learn that. Because I promised to Abraham, just because I promised to Abraham, that's what I'm doing all this. He is not suffering for us. The Tanakh said that difference of intensive in the relations, in the intellectuals relations, they are about who I am and what I'm doing in this. For example, if he was not the principal of the Israel, he wasn't with no problem. So at the end, the space where is a third gender person, what do we have to do? But what happened if the third gender are the same laws, but for you, they are applied in a different way? So at the end, those laws in the relations, look at them depending on the position that each of us have. For example, in our home, if I am a dad, a mom, or if I'm the first kid, the first son, or in the middle one, or the last one, the situations are different. But we have to enroll in that. In that, the people that we have a lot of kids, we have to teach them what is what they have to do. We have to teach them the responsibility that all our kids have in depending in the position that they are, like the first one, the second one, and the last one. If each one knows the role that they have to play, they will be able to do the difference between the space. So the little one would be able to respect the first one, and the first one will be able to learn how to protect the last one. But everything depends of knowing what we are. Depending on that, we were able to make the difference between the space and the time. For example, in the days that are told that we don't have to do a job, are the days that I do job more. Example. I am from a generation that has another one after me and after me. The parents of those days forget that the sons has more necessity, or they need more from the dad than the dad from the son. The dad cannot run over the son. The son has to look for the dad. This is um, how they say hello to other, like a joke. But then when they are grown up, I take his hand. Why? Because I'm not a friend. I'm an adult, and I am the rabbiner from this community. So the things are different. But we forget that. For example, to my daughters, I teach them how to treat the people like Mister. And no, please don't call me that. Please treat me like with more confidence. I'm going to talk about my generation. I was taught to talk the adult people. There is a generation beyond me that I have to respect them. There is a neighborhood that she saw me born, and it's difficult. And you know what I have to do? When she yell at me, I have to be silent because she's beyond me. And that was touched to me by my parents. When we don't take our role as the generation that is beyond of us, we are avoiding to take the respect to the generation that is superior to them. Then we complain about them that they don't respect anything, but we haven't teach them how to respect. But who told us that to be grown up is bad? Why the 60s want to be seated in this place when actually those chairs were done by them? It's good for them. From the point of view of the Torah, that third gender people is honorable, is not to be ashamed of, is not to be ashamed for. But now, it's not that they think that they will be young all the life. One time I realized about the age that I had when I was going to go to a bus, and the same stop of the bus I was with a little boy that I knew, so we were going to go inside the bus when he stand up and he told me, "Come on, go first." Eh, and we feel like the world is going to end. I was going to ask level how years are left to me, but you know what? That's the life. Our sons have to respect the age we have because we are the responsibles of this generation that is irrespectful because we don't assume the role that our generation that was superior to us played to us. So please do me a favor when a jump person was should going to say hello in a no respectful way. Please, we have to do the difference in those relations. A woman can how that a woman talks to his husband when the Lord put him to be her head, how she has to be talks to him, but they treat him like he is the first son. And no, that's why we cannot have a healthy relations, because we don't recognize our limits. We have to recognize as the time and space are not playing. The persons, we are not all friends. Our sons, our kids can have friends, but they are not like with a connection. We have to do difference between the colleague and a real friend. As I told to my daughter, to my kids before, here, they have very clear this, and I have told this before. Here, your dad and your mom and your sister, we call, we love you, and we help you over your mistakes, but we are always with you. But the people that is outside this circle, today they love you, but tomorrow they hate you. Today they tell you pretty good things, but tomorrow they tell you other things. So this give them a stability, emotional, intellectual to them. But if I fail them, what they are going to expect from the people that are outside. So this is how my wife and my kids, they won't be able to suffer for something that is outside. For a man, responsible of his house to build something to someone that is outside to destroy what it's hard, or it's hard to build. It's like this is about to build something. We have to put our marriage in our house, so the happiness would be able to depend just on that circle. My uncle, my aunt, they could do whatever they want to do, but that is not going to affect us. But if the relation that I have with my brother, that happened to me when I came to the Torah, problems, you know what? I was going just twice to his house. Now it could be a year and I don't go to that place. I don't want to have problems. I love him, but we are honest to each other. By my wife and my daughters, for them, I'm going to be given counted in the heaven. There is my emotional stability. what it's outside, it can be destroyed and everything. I don't care. You know what? Because in that way, we will be able to stop suffering from something that it's totally strange to us. Your marriage, your sons, and there you have everything to be happy. I'm not telling you to don't feel empathy or to don't be empathetic with the people that are outside. Don't suffer. And the worst thing is that you bring that bad thing to that circle. Nothing is worse than someone that is building something to defend a wife or a daughter suffering and crying for something that was done by someone that is outside that circle. So why you suffer for something that is outside the circle? It's not me because I protect you, I respect you, your sons, your kids. What else you can ask? And they are bringing problems for another place. If someone wants to live their life like an animal, it's okay. You have to respect that. You have to recognize that and accept that. We are not God to change the life of the people. So we as parents, we need to be that wall of respect of the generation that is behind us needs. Life, the parents' life, now it looks like they are just looking for their sons, and it has to be vice versa. As I wrote in my comment of this Parasha last a lot of years ago, that the parents presents their kids to Moloch. Moloch comes from Melech, of a king, and the problem that we have is when we take that for like they are like kings, but we are doing the things wrong. So we have to learn all these principles and laws because the unnecessary suffering or to be unnecessary and pain comes from the humanity of the lack of the to make the difference between the space with the relations in the people. This is why we waste our time being in places that we don't have to be, in the times that we don't have to be, and also getting a relation with people that are outside of our emotional zone. The hardest thing for that is there is a type of people that is very emotional. If they see like a little dog not walking well, they start to cry. We cannot live a life that like that, suffering for everything. Everything has a limits and differences that are qualitatives, that are in the space and the time, and the importance that the people are for us. In very sheet 1, all the chapter appears the name of Elohim just once because it's like a characteristic from justice. Someone said before that the first law of the universe is to be ordered. That's why we have to be ordered with the spice and in our space and also in our relations. The limits of time and space have to be recognized if we want to grow up and reflect that increase in this creation and also lighten the lives of the people for someone else. Because that depends if that person is going to, as we have told here before, if the Lord is with me, He is the one that do everything. He is kind, He protect. There is a text as the if that is like that, why am I worried? Do I have to be stressed thinking about tomorrow? I have put this like an example. I always remember to Nadab. I put Nadab as an example. He comes inside in a restaurant or to a store. I want this, I want this. Nadab is not worried about everything because he is with his daddy and daddy pays. Old kid is like that or should be like that. If I'm with the Lord and he has done the creation, why am I worried? He takes care about the animals, the plants, the trees. Why am I worried then? It looks like we are created just to look for excuses to be unhappy. I've been sad for 8 days already, and it looks like we are already programmed, and we are looking for novels sad because I need to cry. And no, life is to live with happiness, with all what the Lord has already given us. And you say, and what religion do you practice? I am an Israelite. Also, I'm with the mitzvot of the Lord, so it goes well. So why am I going to? So why I'm looking at you, yelling to your wife, each other? But last time I saw you cried, but I remember that I saw you stressed. Do we are we giving light to other people? What's the difference from the people that doesn't have the Torah with us? We have to delimit the time, spaces, and relations, qualitatives. We cannot give values. No. Can you imagine me taking all the problems that all the people give to me or tells to me? Oh, I couldn't sleep. No. I go to sleep in peace of that I have done. I did it, and what I didn't, it's okay. I wake up to the next day and continue because I'm the Lord. I cannot fix all the lives. So I want to push you, but I can recognize when someone can't. When they have to do a fight by themselves, I cannot fight for them. And all of you should know the positions and to recognize the positions as in Leviticus. In Vayikra 24, 15 and 16. In that Elohim that appears in that text could be interpreted as the Lord or as someone that is with authority over him, because the Lord is not just exclusive for the Lord. That's why it says which one that. So there is a difference in that text. What happened if by living in Torah, the same Torah says that when the countries look at us, that a nation more knowledgeable, if they look at us suffering for anything and that we cannot establish a healthy relations and deep relations. Are we doing a Kiddush Hashem or not? I've been talking about the relations. I want you to have conscience that I cannot say that I'm sons of Lord, that the spirit of His is on me when we can just establish or to build healthy relations, when I can't put limits to other people that are tries to put me in their conflicts or the problems that they have. I have to I should have or I should be able to be free, because I'm here to influence and to give light, and the light is not off from the dark. And I need you to please to think about the real difference about the people that is not in Torah. They have to see the difference, and I'm not talking about the economical or how you eat. I'm talking about the way you conduct yourself, that we could have in our house, in our home, an environment of respect. Someone asked me before a lot. I have a problem with my son. He's very respectful, and he is kind of selfish with the colleagues or the people that he's at the school. My answer was, where do you think he learned about that? How you and your wife resolve the things? Do you tell? Do you yell each other's? So think about that. How am I able to cure people? I have to create a respectful environment in our house, as the as when all of us we are in an environment of respect and everything is with harmony and everything is fine, but suddenly an abusive comes to us, even that person feels bad about that. That's what we have to do, and we have to establish those limits, those healthy relations first is in our marriage, because our kids will learn of us, because they have two teachers all the time, and they will see how the situations are resolved. How one mother can teach to her sons to respect his dad, when she actually treats him with no respect. How can I teach to a son to respect his mom when he sees that I'm unrespectful with her? That would be the fullest thing in the world. And then we got scared and we ask how I create that son. Our son, they make us, the kids have the ability to do four things at the same time. They're doing the homework, they have the YouTube, and they're also seeing what their parents are doing. And as we can't, they say, no, turn off the TV. The kid can do that. The kid can watch the TV, being patient about the message that he just sent, and also he is able to hear what their parents are talking about. So please don't pretend that coming here all the Shabbats and wearing a kippah and tzitzit and tell it we are making the name of Lord the most important thing in us. First of all, our marriage, then our kids, our sons, They have to be in a very good relation with themselves. Outside, there is a lot of people that they think that they are religious, but they can't establish a relation. As Rabbi Zuckerberg says, they are spirituals with autism, the same characteristics that autism has. They have it actually. And talking about spiritual, and the truly free is revelated when we are able to build health relations, and we start to make the difference with ones and other ones. When we have it in our there in our closest circle, in our family, we won't be able in a place and a time that put in risk our stability that is in our home, because this is the most important thing. And that's how we start to establish our order of priorities.
Por favor, Padre eterno, auxílianos para que estos principios y valores, estos límites